grew up in New York. I think if I have the story right, my brother Rob and I were the first twins born in Jacobi Hospital in the Bronx. Had a father that was Jewish, a mother that was Catholic. Rob and I were baptized in the Protestant church because I guess that's the way they did it in New York. But really, neither one of my parents practiced their faith. And so we really grew up with no spiritual fabric in our lives. Life really got hard in my teen years. When I was 17 years old, I was involved in a motorcycle accident. I was actually hit head-on by a car in Mount Vernon, New York. My father and my cousin happened to be following right behind me in a van, and so they witnessed the accident. I flew about 100 feet through the air into a parked car and landed. And that kind of started a snowball of just some really crummy things happening in my life over the next couple of years. A month after witnessing my accident, my father died of a massive heart attack. I had a real hard time coping with life, to be honest. Never really thought about doing anything crazy, but just struggled with what life was all about, what was the purpose of life, and couldn't understand why and how it could get so hard. I would find myself shaking my fist at the sky, directing profane, foul language to the sky, and it dawned on me that I must, somewhere deep inside, believe that there must be a God, or at least a higher being. Got married shortly after college and started my career. I would say I got on the fast track in corporate America pretty quickly. I found myself working 12, 15 hours a day, just regular, really just pouring energy into work and not as much energy into my family. I started playing softball 3 or 4 times a week, 3 or 4 games a night, and for several years played about 150 softball games a year. So all of this energy, all of this focus, all this attention was being placed on work, which I thought was good. I thought I needed to be a provider. And softball, which I thought was okay based upon the work I was doing, but it wasn't. And it became evident that my marriage was being impacted by that and by other circumstances. And finally reached the point where it just became evident that the marriage was not reconcilable. In the midst of the divorce, I found myself in another period of life where I just was having a real hard time coping. I think I lost 28 pounds. I would find myself on the floor of the bathroom sometimes just sobbing, kind of pathetic, disgusting kind of stuff, but you know, I just hadn't envisioned that life was going to be like that, not like that again. About that time, I had a neighbor walk across the street and invite me to church. The neighbor knew we were having some struggles at the house, and so I took her up on it and went and visited the church and began to hear about who Jesus was. And not too long after that, I found myself at home, alone in the bathtub. Felt myself falling into that abyss again, that kind of disgusting place that I knew I was going to, and for the first time in my life, really called out expectantly to God, just asking Him to please not let me go where I knew I was going. And just right at that moment, the phone rang, and it was Rick Baldwin. And I had met Rick previously at the church, and he was just calling to see how I was doing, just reaching out. And we chatted for a minute or two, no real deep discussion or anything like that. I stepped back into the bathtub after I hung up, and I sat down, and all of a sudden I felt this unbelievable sense that God had heard my prayer, and He became a reality to me. And so right there in my bathtub, I gave my life to Jesus. I found that the energy and the passion that I was pouring into work, pouring into softball, I began to pour into my pursuit of God. I found I was craving Him and just couldn't get enough of Him. Also began to find that I developed this white-hot passion for other people as this journey began to unfold. I began to look for a way to be able to pour that out, and had an opportunity to work with the high school students, and quickly became broken-hearted for high school students. I think that as I looked at them and as I looked at their lives, and I reflected back on my own as a teen, I just knew that I didn't want any of them to have to grow up and go through the circumstances in life that I went through without Jesus. And so about 3 years ago, I committed myself to really full-time volunteer work in the high school ministry, and haven't slowed down a bit. I don't know why they like to hang out with me, but I love to hang out with them, and it's just been amazing. There's nothing special about me that he would decide to reach down into my life and not reach down into somebody else's life. When I decided to open my heart up to him, he came in, and I just know that that's what he wants to do for everyone.